Welcome to the class today, and Australia's got my glasses on. So today we are going to be focusing on just moving the spine a little bit, and I'm going to be introducing you to some back bends, but don't get scared. We actually call them extensions in the anatomical world. Back bends or extensions are actually really important as we get older because it's one of the spinal movements that we lose the most of. So if you can think of when we start to get old or older, lots of people start to have that kind of posture. So what we're going to be focusing on is really opening up the chest and getting a little bit of mobility into the back. So let's get started. So you don't need any equipment for today. And this is an all standing routine. So we're not going to be going down on the knees or into the wrists or anything like that. And so most people will be able to do this. Now, if you have sciatica, we're going to be doing some forward bends. So you will work to the point where you don't feel any pain. So sometimes it might be quite high for some people. And, you know, I appreciate that when you have sciatica, you tend to be in pain already, but you don't want that pain to get any worse. So just find that point where you think, oh, no, I don't want to go any further, then come up a little bit. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is just come to the mat. So I'm just going to face forward for this part. Put my teeth back in today. And just come to a still position. So ideally you want your knees under your hips. And so some teachers do teach with the feet together, but a lot of people can't actually put their feet together. And I prefer to have this position because it's the anatomical position. So if you think of the anatomical man that you might see in the round circle, he has his legs open. So I like to be in that position where it's in alignment with the hip sockets. So you can close your eyes for the first part if you want to, or you can keep them open. Now with this particular position, like this mat that I'm on is actually quite thick. So carpets and thick mats can affect your balance. We're not going to do any balance, but just be mindful that as we're moving, any soft surfaces will make this a bit more challenging. So you can close your eyes if you want to, and all I'm going to do is just start to rock from side to side. So I'm just going to take a moment to bring your awareness down into your feet. I'm just noticing that as you move from side to side, what happens to the muscles in your legs? So how do those muscles start to engage? You might feel them on the inside, outside of the leg. Notice how the feet are starting to react. And then just find the center position. So you're not leaning too much to one side or the other, just this middle position. And then we're going to start to have a little rock forward and back. So now you might feel a little bit of lightness in your heels, and a little bit of lightness in your toes. So again, we just want to observe how the muscles in the legs are working. And you may also notice how the abdominals kicking at a certain point. And then again, just find that middle point where you're not falling forward and you're not falling back, and then hold that position there. So some people might have sticky out bums. That's called hypolordosis. So we just want to send the tailbone down a little bit. So your two hip bones would be pointing to the front of the room. So they don't want to be pointing up towards the ceiling in that shape, and they don't want to be sticking down towards the floor in that shape. So you want to find this even position where they're facing forward. The knees are soft, so they're not completely bent and we're not locking them out. They just have a slight kink in the joint. And then I want you to think of lengthening that spine up towards the ceiling. So if you imagine a vertebra, a spine, and you want to put little pockets of air between each of the vertebrae. So just trying to lift each vertebra off of the next one. And you'll feel how the tummy naturally draws in as you try and lengthen your spine. Okay, so the core is starting to engage. And then have a shoulder roll. So bring your shoulders forward. take them up to your ears, squeeze your shoulder blades down the back, and again as the shoulders come down, lengthen the spine, and then hold that position there. So you can flutter the eyes closed if you haven't got them, flutter the eyes open if you haven't got them open. And we're going to do some half sun salutations, which is just going to warm up the spine. So take a breath in, lift your hands up to the ceiling. From here, soften your knees, and we're going to swan dive forward. So we're going to do a bit of a hinge. So as you swan dive forward, your bum's going to go slightly back. But we're not coming into a squat or anything like that. And then fold the hands towards the floor and just relax the head down. So it is early in the morning where I am, so the body's a little bit cold. So I'm not trying to force my hands down just to start with. The body will warm up when it's ready. Pop the hands onto the shins, and now we're going to lengthen the spine. So now think of the crown of the head is going to the wall in front of you. Shoulder blades are drawing in towards the spine, and then imagine you're trying to get your shoulder blades to touch the back of your hips. So we want the shoulder blades to come down. So often people come to a bit of a rounded position. So think of sending your booty up and your boobies out. So boobs out, bum out. Now, if you are quite flexible in the back of the legs, that's fine to straighten the legs, but just be mindful you're not locking out through those joints again. And then relax as you breathe out and you come back down. And we're going to roll up one vertebra at a time. So inhale. And then as you exhale, pull the tummy in and keep pulling the belly in as you roll your spine up, one vertebra at a time. And we come back to that starting position. So lengthen the spine, have a shoulder roll, and we're back to that starting position. So let's do a few more. So breathing in, quite close to the mirror here. Exhale as you fold forward, hands to the floor, head to knees. So remember, for those of you that have got sciatica, you might be up here, and that's perfectly fine. Find that point where there's no pain. Okay. Hands on the shins, half lift. Now I like to think of an inhale, because an inhale really creates the space between your ribs and your hips. So the hips are going that way and the ribs are going that way. And breathe out as you fold forward. Take another breath in. And then as you exhale, hug the tummy in, keeping your neck, your shoulders, your arms completely relaxed. As you bring yourself back up into standing, growing nice and tall, have that shoulder roll again. Let's do one more. Inhale. Soften your knees. Exhale as the arms go wide. Hinge at the hips, so we're trying to keep the back straight. And then the last part, you just fold forward. Hands on the shins. Now take a big breath in as you lengthen the spine. So almost think of this balloon stretching. Think of those little, I don't know how you explain that. Those little balloons that they make animals with. Really long balloons just blowing itself out into a straight line. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale at the bottom, and then roll yourself up again as you exhale. Really hug the tummy in. Think of the abdominals doing the work. And all these muscles in the back are pulling the spine up into standing. And have a shoulder roll. Good. So that was a lot of flexion, bending the spine forward. Now we're going to work a little bit into the extension part, the back bend. So we're taking the hands up towards the ceiling again. So breathe in. This time you can do salute fingers. So the toes, fingers are pointing like that. So it looks like a bang, bang. You're going to take the hands up towards the ceiling. Relax your shoulders down. Now give your bum a little squeeze. So this is what we're trying not to do. And I'm going to exaggerate. We don't want to just hinge in this part. It's not good for the lower back, okay? When you squeeze your bum, you'll have this very slight pushing forward. Stretches off that. But I want your lift to come from your heart, okay? So give the bum a squeeze, lock the hips. So we're not pushing forward, lock the hips. And now I want you to think of lifting your collarbones up to the ceiling. And now we're going to draw a line on the ceiling to the wall behind. So you can see it's not a big movement, but I'm not whacking that pelvis forward, okay? Release the arms out to the side, soften the knees. Now we're going to go down again. So fold forward, hands to the floor, head to knees. Inhale, half lift, and exhale down.
Breath in at the bottom. Exhale as you roll up.
Once you come up, having that nice big shoulder roll, lengthen the spine up towards the ceiling, keeping those knees soft. Breathing in, hands come up towards the ceiling. Think of that bang, bang fingers. Squeeze your bum, but don't push the hips forward. Keep them where they are, and then lift your heart. Think of your hands going up and back. And now if your neck hurts, you can just keep the chin tucked in, or if your neck doesn't hurt, you can let it follow. Release back to the neutral position. Hands come down, swan dive, taking the head towards the knees. Hands on the shins, half lift, straight back. So think of boobs out, bum out. And then bring the hands down towards the floor. Taking a breath in at the bottom and rolling yourself up again. Once the shoulders come back up, give them a nice round circle. So we're going to change the extension. I'm just going to face you. And it was called cactus arms. So the arms are going to come out into this position, and then we're going to try and squeeze the arms backward. Okay, so cactus arms, or that's also known as goddess arms. We're going to be in that position. So coming back to your starting position, feet hip width apart, taking a breath in, hands come up towards the ceiling. Now from here, open the hands out to the side, ideally elbows in line with the shoulder and wrists in line with the elbows. So also known as goalpost arms, like in rugby. Okay. Now from here, squeeze your bum cheeks without pushing your hips forward. Start to bring the shoulder blade, the elbows together at the back, and then lift the heart. A little bit more intense, this one. Again, if that neck hurts, like mine doesn't feel nice, you can drop the chin towards the throat a little bit. Take the hands back up to the ceiling. Inhale. Soften your knees, swan dive. As you exhale, hands to the floor, head to knees. Hands on the shins, half lift. And breathe out as you come down. Inhale at the bottom. And rolling up, drawing in that tummy, one vertebra at a time. And coming back up into standing. Good. So let's do a couple more. Inhale. Once you're at the top, open the arms into cactus arms. Give that bum a little squeeze, and then pull those shoulder blades together at the back so the elbows start coming closer together, and then lift your heart. Inhale, hands up to the ceiling, soften the knees. Exhale, folding forward. Hands to the floor, head to knees. Just hold it there. Maybe you can straighten the legs a little bit, but be mindful that you don't rock into your heels. So if you're going to come into straight legs, your heels almost want to feel light so that the hip stays above the ankle. Hands on the shins, half lift. Exhale, folding forward. Breath in at the bottom. Exhale as you roll up, one vertebra at a time. Having a shoulder roll at the top. Last one. Inhale, hands up to the ceiling. Give the bum a little squeeze. Bring the arms out to the side into cactus. Now squeeze the bum, lift the chest, squeeze the elbows and the shoulders together. So if you're feeling any pinching or discomfort in the lower back, then you're hinging too far forward. You want to bring those hips back. So the movement is coming from the top part of the spine. Inhale, hands up, back to the center, soften the knees. Exhale as you fold forward. Hands to the floor, head to knees. And you can already see when I started, my hands weren't that close, and now they're a little bit closer. So the body's just starting to warm up. Hands on the shins, half lift. Exhale, folding forward. Breath in at the bottom and exhale as you roll up. One vertebra at a time. And have a shoulder roll at the top. Marvelous. So just a very basic little routine, and you can do these in the morning. You can do it in the evening before you go to bed. Just get that spine moving. There's a lot of benefits to leaning forward. It stretches off the whole posterior chain of the body, and then that part strengthens the posterior chain. So especially if you sit a lot for your job, or maybe you've done a lot of driving, just get your spine moving. It's so important as we get older to keep that mobility of the spine, especially the upper part of the back, to prevent this rounding posture as we get older. So I hope you enjoyed that little video, and I shall see you soon, guys. Bye.